Hey listening friends, I'm your host and coach Laura Malone. As an entrepreneur and leader, wife and mom, teacher and creator, I am showing up to share possibility with you and help you find vision and wisdom because you deserve to be equipped and released as the hero of your own story. Coaching really does help you change your life. And if you want to know how to guide yourself and others well, I created this podcast just for you. It's a place where you can grab tools, teachings, and ideas for both personal and spiritual growth, as well as entrepreneurship and coaching if that's your thing. So as you listen in, I pray I can help you create a legacy of impact and really start writing the story of a life you love living. Now let's jump into today's episode. If I could infuse one thing, only one thing, straight into your soul, if I could change your paradigm in one way, this is what I would tell you. This is the actual medication I would put in your IV drip. It's that your message, the message that your life tells, the message you're called and created to share, the message that will make a difference for somebody has value. It has meaning. And it's really a new mental space when you become convinced that what you have to offer means something to other people. For a long time in life, you don't really know if what you have to say or do or offer is valued by anybody else until you're in a position for them to tell you, to give you feedback, for you to see results come from what you put your heart and soul into, you know? And I would want to give you this deep core belief that what you know, what you've gone through and experienced, anything that you've developed, you've created, invented, thought of, dreamed of, anything you offer, it's valuable to not just one, but many someones, right? Becoming aware of how important your message is and really wanting to help people find it is a turning point for your life, for your business, and for your coaching practice. Especially if you're a coach and you know that you want to coach, but you're afraid to tell people you're a coach, afraid to offer it, what's happening is you are not taking that next step. And I think a lot of people say, well, I hate marketing. Marketing is just telling people what you're capable of helping them with. You're just sharing an offer. It's not sleazy marketing. It's not scammy. It's just marketing. It's just communication. And it's actually an excuse saying like, I hate marketing. It's an excuse that keeps you from sharing what you offer. It's really a way to buffer what you're afraid of. And I want to encourage you to get brave and become aware of the importance of your message. And when you're committed to the value of your message, when you are so convinced that what you carry, what you can offer somebody is so valuable, you will want to communicate it. When you get convinced, you'll want to communicate it. When you get convinced, you will want to communicate it. Should I say it again? I know this because it's true for me. When I became convinced that there are people who are where I have been in my coaching practice, in my business building, in my life, in my parenting, all of these things, when I recognized that just being one or two steps ahead of them made my experience valuable to them, that I could turn around and reach my hand towards them, and that I became convinced that that was valuable to somebody, not to everybody. I don't need it to be valuable to everybody for it to matter. I don't have to be completely inclusive and like the whole world, it needs to be spoken to in my message. Nope. I just need to talk to the ones who need it. And so that's why I speak specifically to certain people, because not everybody needs what I carry. And that's not only okay, it's normal. It's to be expected, right? So when I became convinced, then I was so happy to communicate it. I'm happy to tell you that there are ways to work with me. I'm happy now. I'm not afraid of it anymore. I used to be because I wasn't sure what I had to offer. I wasn't convinced of my value. I wasn't sure anybody needed it. I didn't have any feedback yet. I do now because I kept pressing through what I didn't know. And now I know those things, but it all came from the point of I'm convinced I have something. And if I start putting it out there, I'll start figuring out who needs it. I had to put it out there. I'm happy and excited to communicate that we could work one-to-one together. We could work together in the greenhouse as you learn coaching practice and client tools. I want to tell you that there's a mastermind you can join so you can start your business and create content to connect it to your offer so you can get paying clients. Like, I want to tell you those things now, but it took a long time to get to that place. And if somebody had only given me one thing along the road that made the whole difference, that was the tipping point for me, it would have been this thing that I would put in your IV drip, that I would course through your veins, is that what you carry, the message inside of you, does have value and it means something. And it's got to mean something to just anybody. It's really just even two, right? And what's the scripture in the Bible? Was it Abraham who beseeched the Lord to spare a city if there were only what if there's only 50 righteous people? And the Lord's like, okay, I'll spare it, and then he brings it back down. What if there's only 45? What if there's only 30? What if there's only 20? And he's boldly saying, what if there's only 10? And God says, for the sake of 10, I won't destroy it. And I'm pretty sure that's in Genesis somewhere. So it makes me think of, what if there's only 10 people? I know I'm not trying to correlate these two things together. So don't go making a theology out of what I'm saying. Don't build a church around this. My point is that it made me think of that, just even saying to yourself, what if there were only 50 people who needed what you have to share in the world? What if you boldly speak to your soul and all of the anxiety and the worry and the fear and all of the things? What if you said, but what if there's only 50 people? Would it be worth it to say, hey, this is my message. This is what I offer. This is what I could do. This is how I would help you. What if there's only 45? What if there's only 30, 20? What if there are only 10 people in the world? Would it be worth it to help them on their path? Would you be willing to speak up for just 10 people? Now, I want you to think about those 10 people. Put them in a room with you. Call it a workshop. What if their lives were transformed because of what you could tell them? Because of the story and the experience and the wisdom you have and the guidance that you have that could help them walk their path a little more, with a little more grace, with a little more understanding, a little more awareness, a little more direction. What if only 10 people, you only ever got to share your message once in a room with 10 people and that was it? Would it be worth it to you to see the fruit in just those 10 people's lives? That is the value of your message. It's inside of you. It needs to be shared, even if it's just with 10. And I would say boldly, gospel-wise, even if it's only for the one, right? So when you start believing in what you're doing, it's amazing for what it does to create more desire to do it again, to do it more, to grow it. There's a strong faith it till you make it energy, right? When you start out, you just kind of, we'll just keep going. We'll just see what happens, right? Wonder what God will do. But if I could be the Charles Dickens ghost from your future that takes you on a journey to what it'll feel like down the road when you already believe it, so you can lean into that belief, lean into the thoughts you would have as you believe that, lean into the emotions that you would experience of the joy, the gratitude, the satisfaction, and the knowledge right now. Like if you could have all of that right now and then create and serve from that place, I would don my ghostly robes today and grab your hand and we'd be flying into the future, because I would want you to know this. I believe this about each and every one of you because I have worked with enough people that I know it deep inside of me. And I know that that's my calling, is to tell you you have something to share. So God's not going to call me and equip me to do something that's not real for you because He's called me to you. He's called me to speak to you, to share what I know from my wisdom, from my experience, from my life story, from all the things I've done. I know it for myself now, and this is exactly what I'm doing. I did not used to know it, but now I do. The only thing was different is I took action. I just did a thing to find out. I tested the waters. I started not just coaching in a business, but I started a podcast. I started to put it out there to like crickets because you don't know if anybody's listening until you really see download numbers. And even then, you don't know how long somebody is listening to a podcast. There's no like button. There's no comments. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and things like that. But most people don't actually do that in the way that we do comment on things like social media or YouTube channels even. Podcasts don't have like a comment feature that's as easily accessible. So you don't really know. You really faith it till you make it because you're like, let's just keep going and see what happens. It's really the long game. You sometimes have to throw out your message and see what happens. It's a boomerang. Like, will it come back to you, right? And I think of the years I spent wondering, fearing, deliberating, speculating, worrying, wasting so much energy. And instead of leaning into faith and belief, I leaned into fear and unbelief. Because instead of trusting God to do something with my messy to help others with their mess, I couldn't figure out how to actually imagine possibilities for myself for a long time. I could do it for others, but I couldn't do it for myself. So here I am telling you that once I thought the way that you now think. I had a legal business entity, I had a website, but I really had no coaching business because I had no clients. I had journals and notebooks and ideas and documents and spreadsheets, but no coaching business because I didn't know if the thoughts I'd thrown into all of those journals and notebooks meant anything to anybody else. And why? Because I wasn't telling anybody what the journals and the notebooks and documents and the spreadsheets said. And the reason I just wasn't putting it in front of anybody. So I didn't know if it meant anything to others. I didn't know if it had value to the world outside of me. My website sat unpublished for years while I continued to work on it. My content sat unedited, unrefined, unreviewed, because I wasn't telling people I was a coach, and I didn't know that I needed to be a content creator and that was actually in me, is what I was doing. I was creating a bunch of content, but I didn't know content creation was like a role. I didn't know it was a thing I was doing. I didn't understand it. Content creator is an actual job today, and it's what you have to do if you're a coach building a coaching business. You also have to be an entrepreneur and you have to be a content creator. This is just how it is. That's like the point of my mastermind, is to help people grasp that and then find their way in and through it, and to create a container to put your content in so you can figure out what to do with it. And I didn't know if I was really a coach because I didn't know what I could help people with. I didn't know my core message so that I could start flowing it to the right people. I didn't know who the right people were anyway. I did start actually coaching people on purpose and saw results. But if you had told me, like, figure out your ICA, your ideal client avatar, I would have said, I have no idea. And I don't even know where to start looking. But it wasn't until I had like this solid soul reason to take what I call passion action, not massive action yet. I just got passionate enough that I left the passive action behind and I began taking passion action, like pouring what I knew into documents now I call scripts, right? So they were there for my ideas, and then I would at some point research more and refine them. Then I decided to start the podcast and just put the info out there and like in an imperfect way. and start doing something with it, because done is better than perfect. And I'm always so proud of my clients and coaches who just jump in, start something, and throw it out into the wild world to see if it boomerangs back or not. It's so brave, it's so compelling, and it makes me want to keep throwing myself out there and do big, brave things with God, because I see so much fruit when others do it. And I think about scripture, God's word goes forth and it doesn't return void. When we put our message or our story or our offer or creation out in the world, it's a really hugely vulnerable act of faith, right? We're putting ourselves on the line. We're putting our stories on the line. And we don't know if people are going to step on the pearls that we put out there, or if they won't even understand it is a pearl, or if they'll pick up the pearl we throw out, put it in their pocket and forget about it. It's scary. But all I can do is infuse you with hope that there are at least 10 people out there. I say that focus on 100. I know there are more, but let's go with 100. Imagine 100 people all in their living rooms on a computer, 100 people throughout the entire universe, the whole world, right? They're waiting for your message, story, offer, creation, whatever it is. They need you even if they don't know it yet. Yet, I do know that you can begin to think like someone with a message to share. You can lead yourself into the truth of it. And would you ever say that there's one person, even one person in the world with nothing to say to someone, nothing to give? I hope you wouldn't. I don't think you'd actually be listening here if you did. So don't act like you are the one in billions with nothing to share. Act like you are just one in billions of people that at least 100 others need to hear from. There's way more than 100, but I really encourage you to start with the 100 people out there who need to hear your story and go cultivate that message just for them. You don't have to know who they are. You don't have to be able to explain them and describe them. Just believe that they're out there. Go be brave today. Create something, give it away, and know that God is with you. That this is really, really possible. You carry a message that is valuable, is meaningful, and I want to hear it. So I hope to connect with you somewhere along the line, and I'm going to be praying for you. And anytime you're listening to this message, know that I'm praying that everybody hearing this has something rise up inside of them that says, I am convinced somewhere deep in my soul, and my spirit knows it. My spirit's convinced that what I have to say means something to somebody. And just simply pray Lord, what would you have me do with that? Okay? I'm praying that you would hear the Lord give you tangible direction. Bless you, friends, and have a great day. I so appreciate you as a listener. And if you are looking for a community of like-hearted believers who love all things coaching, be sure to jump into the Christian Life Coach Collective Facebook group. Do you think you might be called to become a certified Sterling and Stone Life Coach? We'll learn more about the Greenhouse course, where you can get trained in just 10 weeks to start building the foundation of your coaching practice. All the links you need are in the show notes. Happy story making!